don't scroll away. Stay exactly where you are, because in the next few minutes I'm going to reveal why the silence around you has felt like a tomb lately. Why every door slammed shut when you were drowning. Why no one reached out when your world was collapsing. And why that crushing emptiness wasn't betrayal. It was the most ruthless, precise, divine preparation ever designed for someone like you. Exactly 72 hours ago, in the highest realms, something occurred that hasn't happened in over 5,000 years of recorded spiritual history. The divine source itself, not a guide, not a master, not a guardian entity, experienced pure, authentic astonishment. And the cause was an act you performed in total secrecy, with zero witnesses, zero encouragement, zero proof that anyone even cared you existed. Here's the truth that will shatter everything you believed about your pain. There are chosen souls who walk protected paths, surrounded by allies, mentors, and miracles. And there are chosen souls who are deliberately stripped of every external lifeline so they can awaken a power no amount of support could ever forge. You were placed in the second group, not as cruelty, but because your destiny demands a strength that can only be born in complete isolation. Hit subscribe right now and turn on all notifications, because the revelation of what you did in the dark that stunned the divine is being suppressed across platforms. Stay until the very end. I will reveal the exact moment you crossed the invisible line, why the source itself paused in awe, what was spoken about you in the highest council, and the irreversible compensation now rushing toward you. Type 1111 in the comments. If you've recently felt you endured trials so severe you still don't know how you're standing, and you're ready to understand why the divine was truly moved by your unseen courage. It began about 8 months ago, almost imperceptibly at first. The people who once lit up at your name began fading. Conversations dried up. Invitations stopped coming. Those who swore they'd always have your back suddenly had endless excuses. It wasn't gradual, it felt orchestrated. You started questioning your worth, your sanity, whether you had somehow become invisible overnight. Then came the moment 5 months ago that broke something inside you. You faced a crisis so overwhelming that reaching out felt like the only sane option. You called the one person you believed would drop everything. When they finally answered, their tone carried a chilling detachment, as if your emergency was background noise in their ordinary day. You ended the call feeling smaller, heavier, more alone than before you dialed. You tried others. Same script, different voices. I'm swamped. Later. I wish I could. Later never arrived until the devastating realization hit. No rescue is coming. No one is going to carry this for you. No one is going to fight beside you. That night, you crumbled in a way you hadn't since childhood. Raw, guttural, hopeless sobs that shook your entire body. You surrendered to the terror of facing the impossible, with no armor, no army, no witness. But in that moment of absolute breakdown, something you couldn't see was unfolding. The isolation wasn't random misfortune. It was deliberate, divine architecture. Every connection was gently but firmly removed, so you would be forced to discover a reservoir of power you would never have touched if even one person had stayed to help. While you wept, believing yourself utterly forsaken, the divine was observing and whispered into the eternal records. This soul is about to reveal a strength even I place deeper than they know. Let us see what happens when they have nothing left but me. What the source knew, and you did not, was that you were entering a trial that 99% of chosen souls only survive with massive support systems. Yet you were required to face it stripped bare, armed only with raw faith and refusal to die. The next day, the storm was still raging, but a shift had occurred inside you, quiet, fierce, undeniable. You rose not because you felt inspired, but because surrendering meant annihilation. You took one uncertain step, then another, each one without guidance, without reassurance, without anyone to tell you it would be okay. There were days you collapsed under the weight. Nights you screamed into emptiness for any sign, any help. No sign came. No help arrived. And every single time, after hours or days of paralysis, you chose to rise again, alone. Hundreds of invisible battles, thousands of moments where quitting would have been completely understandable, yet something unbreakable in you refused. Months passed in this silent war. Slowly, almost impossibly, you began to gain ground, not through miracles or sudden windfalls, through relentless, solitary effort. Then, exactly 4 months ago, you faced the final mountain, objectively insurmountable. It demanded resources you didn't possess, connections you no longer had, energy you had already spent 10 times over. Any outsider would have called it hopeless. But everything you had endured alone had been building toward this precise confrontation. Something primal ignited. You attacked with a ferocity that frightened even you. Days without proper sleep, every ounce of will poured into the fight. 3 weeks of total war against the impossible. And then 58 days ago, you broke through. You won. A victory that, by every reasonable measure, should never have been possible under your conditions. You defeated an obstacle that typically requires entire networks of support. You did it with no network at all. When the dust settled, there was no celebration, no witness, no applause. Just you in the quiet, staring at the magnitude of what your own hands, mind, and spirit had accomplished. But in the higher realms, something unprecedented unfolded. The divine, having observed every unseen second, felt genuine awe, not because the outcome was unexpected, but because of the raw, unrelenting refusal to break when breaking would have been justified. Throughout all of human history, few souls have demonstrated that level of solitary resilience. 72 hours ago, the highest council was summoned. Ancient ones, guardians, principalities, all present. The divine played the full record of your journey. Every private tear, every moment you nearly quit but didn't. Every correct choice made in darkness. Every step taken without a map. The council watched in reverent silence. Then the source spoke words now etched forever in eternal archives. This soul achieved what most cannot with legions beside them. They achieved it with none. Not merely survival, total conquest. Their integrity remained untouched when no eyes were upon them. This is rare beyond measure. In a moment never before recorded in such gatherings, the ancient ones lowered their gaze in profound respect. You were silently elevated into the highest tier of chosen souls, those who prove, under the harshest conditions, that they need no external validation to remain true. But the awe didn't stop at recognition. It triggered an irrevocable decree that now governs your future. The divine commanded all aligned forces. This soul has proven they can move mountains alone. Now provide the support they never required but have eternally earned. The isolation phase is officially over. It was never permanent. It was the forge. And because you endured the hottest fire, 3 specific manifestations are now locked in motion. First, within the next 120 days, souls vibrating at an entirely higher level will begin entering your life. Not casual connections, battle-tested warriors who also walked through fire alone. They will recognize your unseen scars instantly and choose to stand with you without needing explanation. You won't chase them. They will simply arrive, perfectly timed. Second, within 240 days, the door you've knocked on for years will swing open. But larger, clearer, more aligned than you ever envisioned. You will step through not as the old version of yourself, but as the unbreakable one forged in solitude. It will fit you perfectly because the isolation shaped you into precisely who needed to walk through it. Third, within 400 days, the magnitude of your solitary triumph will become impossible to conceal, not through your seeking of attention, but through natural revelation. Those who stepped away during your darkest hours will witness what was built in their absence. Some will be undone by regret. You will feel neither bitterness nor triumph, only quiet compassion, because you no longer require anything they withheld. Protections were also activated on multiple levels. Any force or person attempting to undermine what you built alone will face immediate consequences, not through your action, but through cosmic law now guarding you. False paths and tempting distractions will either never reach you or trigger instant inner repulsion. In crucial moments, crystal clear guidance will rise within you, undeniable knowing that bypasses doubt. More than reward, your story is now being used as living proof across dimensions. Thousands currently walking their own solitary paths are receiving impressions, dreams, and sudden hope inspired by the essence of what you endured. Without your name, without details, your refusal to quit is strengthening strangers you will never meet. The specific moment that generated the deepest divine awe, not the grand external victory. It was the quiet internal one 4 months ago when temptation stood before you with perfect justification. No witnesses, no consequences if you yielded. Every reason to choose the easier path. Yet in total privacy, you chose the harder right over the easier wrong. That unseen act of absolute integrity when no one would ever have known revealed a soul of unimaginable rarity. And for that silent choice, public blessing is guaranteed. It is spiritual law. What is maintained in secret is rewarded in the open. In the coming months, expect intensified resistance, whispers of doubt, attempts to minimize what you achieved, efforts to pull you back into old patterns. Recognize them as desperate countermeasures from forces now afraid of what you become when fully supported. Your greatest weapon against them. Remember the nights no one saw. Remember the weight you carried alone. Remember the integrity you kept when it cost everything. Those memories are impenetrable armor. Within 4 months, an invitation will arrive that feels almost too aligned to be real. Accept it. Every skill you developed in isolation was preparation for that exact role. Within 8 months, synchronicities will become undeniable, help arriving at the perfect second, confirming the divine never truly left. Within 12 months, you will face the final temptation, to rest in the victory already won, to settle now that comfort has arrived. Reject it. Your solitary triumph was never meant to end in personal comfort. It was training to lead others through their own impossible passages. If you choose continued expansion over stagnation, abundance will multiply exponentially upon the foundation you built alone. Within 1 year, some who left will attempt return. Forgive freely. Reinstate wisely. Your solitude taught you discernment sharper than any blade. Chosen soul. What you accomplished in the dark rewrote possibilities across realms. You proved that a single, determined heart can outshine circumstances. And for that, the next chapter of your life has already been declared legendary. If these words struck your core, if tears rose because someone finally named your unseen war, this message found you for a reason. For those ready to accelerate alignment with the coming rewards, exclusive guided material is waiting in the description and pinned comment. Type 1111 in the comments to claim and amplify the incoming support. Subscribe and enable all notifications for revelations on how solitary triumphs unlock exponential destiny. Share this with anyone currently fighting unseen battles. They need to know the divine is watching and their reward is already in motion. Before you go, tap the video appearing now to discover the unmistakable signs your isolation phase is ending and the promised alliance is assembling. You are never alone. You are now unstoppable. Stop everything you're doing and listen closely, because what I'm about to share is the continuation you've been waiting for. The deeper layer of the divine decree that was activated after your solitary victory shocked the higher realm. If you felt the first revelation hit your soul like lightning, this will feel like thunder, explaining why certain doors are already creaking open, why old wounds are suddenly healing without explanation, and why a new level of power is awakening inside you that feels both familiar and terrifying. Exactly 48 hours ago, in the eternal councils beyond time, a second phase of the decree was sealed, one that wasn't revealed in the initial shock because your system needed time to integrate the first wave. The divine source, still reverberating from witnessing your unseen triumph, issued an addendum that hasn't been activated for a chosen soul in over 3,000 years. And it directly addresses what happens next now that you've proven you can conquer alone. Here's the devastating truth that will redefine your future. The isolation forged you into a rare vessel capable of holding power most chosen ones would shatter under. But power like that doesn't stay dormant. It attracts, it multiplies, it transforms everything around it. And the higher realms just authorized the release of forces specifically calibrated to your unique frequency, the kind that only solitary warriors can wield without being consumed. Subscribe right now if you haven't already, and make sure all notifications are on, because this continuation is being shadowed harder than the first. Forces that fear empowered chosen ones are working overtime to keep you from fully claiming what's already yours. Stay until the end. I'm going to reveal the 3 hidden activations now unfolding, the specific signs that your celestial army is already forming, what the divine whispered next about your role, and the one test you must pass to avoid losing everything you gained alone. Write 2222 in the comments if you're noticing strange new synchronicities lately, people from your past resurfacing, unexpected opportunities knocking, or an inner strength rising that you can't explain, and you're ready to step fully into the second phase of your decree. Since your victory 58 days ago, something subtle but unstoppable has been shifting. At first, it felt like random coincidences. A message from someone you hadn't spoken to in years carrying exactly the words you needed. A door you thought permanently closed, cracking open, just enough to let light through. A sudden burst of clarity in moments of doubt that felt like it came from outside yourself. But it wasn't random. It was the first wave of the army arriving, not in dramatic fashion, but in precise, undeniable pieces. Remember the decree. After proving you don't need help, you receive the help you deserve. And the help assigned to you isn't ordinary. It's composed of souls who also walked through their own isolation fires, souls who recognize the mark of solitary victory without needing the story. The first activation, accelerated alignment. Within the next 60 days, 3 key allies will solidify in your life, not as saviors, but as equals. One will bring strategic wisdom you developed alone, but now need expanded. One will carry resources that complement what you built with nothing. One will reflect back your power so clearly that doubt becomes impossible. They won't drain you. They won't need managing. They'll amplify you because they operate from the same forged in solitude frequency. You've likely already met the first one without realizing their full significance. A conversation that went deeper than expected, an instant recognition, a sense of finally someone who gets it. That's not coincidence. That's deployment. The second activation, restoration with multiplication. Everything you lost during isolation, time, opportunities, connections, energy, isn't just being returned, it's being multiplied. Within 120 days, you'll witness compensation arriving in forms you couldn't have engineered alone. Financial channels opening wider than before. Health regenerating faster than medical logic allows. Relationships healing not through forcing, but through natural attraction of higher matches. But here's what's devastating. The restoration won't look like going back. It will look like stepping forward into something better. The people who left created space for those who stay. The opportunities that passed made room for ones perfectly timed. The energy you spent alone built spiritual capital, now yielding compound interest. The third activation, authority transfer. The higher realms didn't just recognize your victory, they transferred a measure of authority that solitary warriors uniquely qualify for. This means your words now carry weight beyond normal human influence. Your decisions align reality faster. Your boundaries become impenetrable, not through force, but through natural consequence. In the council 48 hours ago, the divine addressed the assembled hierarchies with words now permanently recorded. This soul maintained truth when no one watched, conquered when no one helped, and rose when falling would have been justified. Authority over alignment is now granted. What they bind in integrity remains bound. What they release in wisdom flows freely. This authority manifests practically. People who once ignored you will suddenly hear you. Opportunities that required begging now seek you out. Attacks that once landed now rebound before reaching you. But authority like this comes with one crucial test, the test of the heart. The one danger now, pride disguised as confidence. The temptation to use your new power for ego validation, to prove to those who abandoned you that you made it, to wield influence from wound rather than wisdom. This is the final filter. Many solitary victors pass the isolation test only to fail the authority test by letting bitterness direct their power. Pass this test by leading with the same quiet integrity you showed when no one watched. Use your influence to lift others walking their solitary paths. Speak truth without needing to diminish those who left. Protect your energy without building walls of superiority. The divine is watching this phase closer than the battles, because a warrior who wields power with clean hands becomes legendary across dimensions. Signs your second phase is active. Sudden urges to clear old energy, deleting contacts, cleaning spaces, releasing grudges without announcement, dreams of leading groups or speaking to crowds you don't recognize, moments where you feel guided to say or do something that later proves perfectly timed, people from your past reaching out with genuine remorse, not manipulation, opportunities arriving that require the exact skills your isolation taught you. In the coming weeks, expect intensified spiritual pressure, not attacks like before, but stretching. Your capacity is being expanded to hold what's coming. Old fears will surface one last time, not to defeat you, but to be fully released. When they rise, meet them with the same refusal to quit that shocked the divine. This is the final cleansing before full activation. Within 90 days, you'll experience a public confirmation moment, something undeniable, that what you built alone is now expanding beyond you, not through your promotion, but through organic recognition. It will feel surreal, like watching your private war bear public fruit. Your role now transcends personal destiny. The army forming around you isn't just for your mission, it's for collective awakening. You're becoming a living bridge between solitary suffering and supported triumph, showing thousands watching from higher realms and many here on Earth that isolation ends, that rewards come, that no one who refuses to quit is ever truly left alone. The most devastating part? The Divine's final whisper about you in the recent council wasn't about what you've done. It's about what you're becoming. From one who conquered alone will come leadership that empowers many to conquer together. Their solitary fire will ignite a movement. If this continuation stirred something deep, if you're feeling the activations I described, if you know the isolation served its purpose and you're ready for what's next, this message reached you at the perfect moment. For those called to deepen into authority activation and specific practices to wield your new power wisely, exclusive Phase 2 material is in the description and pinned comment. Write 2222 in comments to lock in the second phase energies and accelerate your army's full assembly. Share this with any chosen one you know emerging from isolation. They need to know Phase 2 has begun. Tap the video on screen now for the exact signs your authority transfer is complete and how to navigate the final test without losing your reward. The forge is cooling. The crown is being placed. Welcome to what comes after victory.